Hi there, welcome to Saving the Republic, episode 7. Today we're going to be talking about California and its future. CNN, Greta Thunberg thought we were done with it, but we're not. And Justin Amash drops out of the race. Today we've got Nate Dunning, we've got Skylar Walksman, and we've got Kelly Neidert. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7. So in California, there have been extreme protests. LA flipped red. Um, Tesla moving out of there. All kinds of stuff going on in California. What do y'all think about the latest news in California? And later we'll kind of dive into where we think it's going to head in the future.
It's interesting. We're starting to see. I can't say. I have no idea whether it's going to be a trend of something larger, but it is, at least for the moment, we're seeing kind of people, this sort of like idea of this like paradise in California. It's just kind of like there are cracks in California. I mean, we've seen issues with their economic system, but just that the whole California approach of like heavy-handed government regulation is starting to really show its faults right now. And if they happen to lose Tesla, then I think that's only one company, but I think it could set off a domino effect, and other companies, specifically maybe tech companies, we could maybe see them leaving California and, hey, maybe coming to Texas. Elon is like, I think Texas is his destination.
Yeah, he tweeted that Tesla HQ will be in Texas and Nevada.
I've heard a lot about it moving into Austin. I think they may have even bought some real estate, or at least people are speculating on whereabouts in Austin it would be.
So my deal with it is, so just for some context, I guess right now let's specifically talk about Tesla moving over here, because it's not just Tesla. I mean, it's Tesla, but it's going to lead to other things. Here's the deal. An unelected interim public health official, even though Gavin Newsom basically said Tesla's allowed to open, the unelected official deemed them unessential. The unelected official for that county. I always mispronounce it. Is it Almadia, or what is it? How do you pronounce it?
I have no idea.
Whatever county Tesla's in. So they deemed Tesla unessential, even though Tesla is the second largest exporter in the state of California and the only car company left. Look, let's just put this in perspective. Just Elon Musk. Put Tesla, put SpaceX, put Boring Company all to the side. Elon Musk is worth about $60 billion. Just him moving all of his assets is already a big hit, not let alone the entire company. And SpaceX is already mainly in Nevada. Boring Company is already kind of in Nevada. So with this interim public health official doing this, Tesla is now suing that county. And so Tesla opened, and Elon tweeted, if anybody gets arrested, it better be me. I'll be on the line working. And I haven't seen any arrests. It's been about a week. So this is why it's kind of sparking the debate, because Elon claims that he is officially, this is the last straw. It's over. He's moving it to Texas. And so you look at the fact that like a lot of people are dipping out of California. Now, look, Silicon Valley is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it's like their only thing left after Tesla moves. If anything happens in Silicon Valley, which who knows if it will, but if Zuckerberg wakes up and he's like, okay, I've had enough, California's done. That's it.
I think Zuckerberg is the last one that's going to be like, screw the government.
Yeah.
That would be cool if he did it, but I'd be shocked.
Well, they're going to see Tesla's profit change because they're not paying so much in taxes. Yeah.
As far as like Elon Musk and Tesla and getting to Texas, SpaceX is already like operating
in West Texas, right? Isn't it?
I don't think so, but over in McGregor, which is just basically right outside of Waco, that's where they launched some of their rockets, and we can feel that like every few days. You feel like the ground going like just feels like an earthquake or something. But so that I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he up and came to Texas, and I think it'd be really he'd be welcome here.
Oh yeah,
And
Greg Abbott and Ted Cruz are all over Twitter about it.
yeah, I think it'd be cool, and hopefully we wouldn't need to. I mean, it sounds like he already wants to come here, so hopefully we wouldn't need to give any like tax incentives and kind of corporate bailouts, or not bailouts, but kind of just subsidizing him to come over here, like we saw
I mean,
with Amazon.
anything will be better than what he's got going right now.
I mean, I guess so. But yeah, it would be a perfect fit for him to come to Texas. I mean, I'm still, and like I mentioned this in the last episode, I'm still very not like an Elon fanboy, which is kind of weird because it feels like every other conservative is going crazy for Elon.
Well, what do you mean by Elon fanboy?
I think most conservatives are not necessarily fanboying him. They're liking what they're seeing with what's going on with him.
I think
they're
they're
seeing a
hope.
California guy who is like, I don't want to say he was a Democrat because he said he was an independent, but they're kind of seeing the red pilling of someone in the big tech industry, which
is
to most
very
people
rare.
is just insane. Yeah,
I know, but and it is nice to see that it's like, yeah, he's getting fed up with all of it. But we have to I would say we need to pace ourselves and don't get all wrapped up in his tweets. He's like saying, whatever, basically screw the government. And I'm like, yes, but at the same time, like he's taking with Tesla, he's taking like billions in government subsidies, which, hey, part of me is like, good job for working the system. Like if it's out there, it would not make sense not to take it, but still, let's kind of pace ourselves.
I see what you're saying. I don't know that. Look, in my personal thing, I've already retweeted a lot of his tweets. I've liked a lot of his tweets. I've replied to some, but I don't necessarily consider him my political role model. I like what he's saying, so I retweet it. But I don't necessarily think that by conservatives retweeting him, he's all of a sudden going to be speaking at Turning Point. He's not a conservative.
I wouldn't put that past him.
I really don't think he's a conservative. And now here's the thing. Here's where you have to like really look before you start saying what somebody is. Because I used to think he was like a globalist. But now I'm seeing the stuff he's tweeting and I'm like, this dude is not with them. Anyway, but the Tesla move into Texas is really going to be a big thing because you already have a lot of people coming over here. And before we get into Newsom and power and all that, what do y'all think look, if I was in California and I was a conservative, I think it'd be hard. But at the end of the day, the right thing to do is stay in California and do what you can to change it. I feel like all them coming over here and turning our state purple is messing up the demographics. Stay where you are and do what you need to do to make it better. Starting with voter ID laws, that'll fix it right there.
So Will Witt with PragerU I think he did a pretty good job. They did a video on why so many Californians are leaving, and it's a lot of these reasons, but unfortunately a lot of them are leaving because they don't like the high taxes or they don't like what the government's doing. But they're still going to just vote straight line Democrat because that's what they've always done, which is what
I think California is just a hellhole. Like, I don't really blame them for moving out.
Yeah, it's funny that Kelly says that because my old youth leader a few years ago, he used to say that when Jesus comes back, he's going straight to California, or he's going straight to Los Angeles. That's the first place, because it's just so intense. But we don't have to get on a religion thing.
I think the jury is out on the people coming from California because on the one hand, like I feel like some of them are leaving because of high taxes and a lot of government regulation and everything. On the other hand, I don't know for sure if that's the case.
Well, here's the thing. For example, did y'all see
like
Joe Rogan? Did y'all see Joe Rogan saying that he's going to move to Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, stay in California and do what you got to do, Mr. 8 million subscribers. Do what you got to do to shift California to what you want it to be. Don't come over here and make us California and then move to Florida 20 years later because you don't like that you're in Texas.
But the thing is, I don't think Joe Rogan's like going up to the Capitol and lobbying it's like if you're not actively trying, and Joe Rogan not really conservative.
No, he's not. No. He's an
But
independent leaning left.
the thing is with Joe Rogan, it's like, look, if you're not trying to make California a more conservative, freer place. So what's the point of staying there anyways? Yeah, he's sort of like not really a great example of like conservatives fleeing, but just kind of the general distaste.
He's a good example of the general person, the general Californian.
Because it's not just conservatives that are getting fed up with it. It's kind of.
Because as much as I recommend Texas, stay over there and do what you need to do. Because look.
I mean, California is a beautiful place. Have you seen the beaches there? Like, if they finally got like a decent government that could help take care of it, they get organized volunteers to clean up things like that. It would be
so.
Great,
there's two things to remember with this. One, Joe Rogan, for one, has 8 million subscribers, but for two, like, by him moving over to Texas, I'm focusing on my second point, so I'll just come back to this later. My second point is that what Nate's saying, oh my God, this happened to me earlier today. I was in the middle of like making a point, and it was like my head started throbbing all of a sudden, and I had no idea what I was talking about anymore. So y'all say something and come back to me.
So basically, my kind of whole point of view on this is with big names to younger people like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk. Like with Elon Musk, California used to be kind of the land of everyone drives a Prius because it's good for the environment. Now it's becoming everyone drives a Tesla. So to see a big name like that he tweeted the other day about being, or I think it might have actually been yesterday, about being red-pilled. And you see things like that happening. That's a big influence on people in California because they see Tesla as this great environmentally friendly thing, and showing that conservatives can also be environmentally friendly.
Okay,
By the way, you literally cannot spell conservative without conserve. So I mean,
there you go. Yeah, and you can't spell liberal without liberal. Here's the two things. One, what I was going to say earlier is the lawmakers in California. Look, I personally think about 90% of the Democratic Party is just pure corruption. But if they were able to tackle the corruption and not necessarily switching it over to red, which would be the better solution, but realistically, that's going to take a few years. But what they could do now is get the corruption out of California. People like Joe Rogan have platforms where they can do such a thing. So I think they need to focus on getting corruption out and not so much a flipping of the state. And then the other thing is that California has pockets of like really strong conservatives. You're talking about Mike McCarthy, Devin Nunes, a lot of Californians are all like, hold on a second, these people are from California. You forget all the time that, like, and then LA flipping red. Now it's not Schiff's district. It's the other.
Wasn't Mike McCarthy the Cowboys head coach?
Did I say Mike McCarthy? I meant Kevin McCarthy.
Like,
yeah, I've been focused on the NFL lately. We can talk about the NFL later. I meant Kevin McCarthy. Anyway, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, if those pockets were able to spread out a little bit more, you're looking at a big shift.
California, I think I've heard that they actually might have like the most number of Republicans in a state just because they're so big. So that kind of makes sense. So if they all decided to up and leave, like, that would actually probably be pretty good for, maybe if they came to Texas and some other states, because all their electoral votes go to Democrats. Yeah. Also, they would lose, and if their population shrunk, which that wouldn't really take effect until like the next census, because this census is already basically being counted. That wouldn't really take effect for their electoral votes, but in another 10 years it would, and which would be kind of hard to get a concerted effort. All conservatives, let's just leave at the same time. Probably wouldn't happen. But we saw parts of Orange County. I think it was Orange County that they had a congressional race, special election that it was Katie Hill's seat.
I believe that was actually in L.A. County. It was just slightly north of Los Angeles in the city, which is an even bigger win in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's going to spread over to Schiff's district. I mean, it's going to take a long time, but
it was a Republican before Katie Hill, so it's not a huge thing, but it is pretty good. It's good that it is.
Well, it's good because it shows the potential for spread.
Yeah, so it's
The
like
rest
it's not
of like the people outside the boundaries of the district are going to see that it's red and they're but well, how's that going to turn out for them?
yeah, it's like it's not a done deal. Like, hey, you won one race as a Democrat. That doesn't mean like you have it in the bag. It's gonna be competitive for a long time, and California, like I don't know, I can't say for a fact, but it feels like they sort of maybe hit their peak, and like maybe at this point people are starting to become less satisfied.
Well, they're burning people out, and it's undeniable how many people are leaving the state. And so here's my next question for y'all. Okay, so we look at this COVID time. You're seeing how the governors really feel about everything because they've basically become completely in charge. So here's the thing. You look at Gavin Newsom, California governor, and then you look at people like Nancy Pelosi. You look at Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Tim Cook. You look at all the Hollywood executives. You mean Elon Musk? You mean to tell me that Gavin Newsom is going to tell all them how it is? Gavin Newsom is going to be their leader. In my opinion, he's just there to fill a government seat. I don't think he actually does anything. It's probably mainly Pelosi because they have a lot of personal interaction. But if you're, I don't know if y'all are seeing what I'm saying here, but like,
No, I'm not.
okay. All right, here, let me kick an example. In Texas, we're respecting what Abbott does because here, like, there's the sense of government. In California, can Newsom really do anything? If he has,
Yeah.
if can he really control Silicon Valley? Can he really control the $1 trillion cap that Apple has? Can he really do all that? No.
Newsom can only do things as long as it aligns with the values of those companies, which happen to align with the Democratic Party. So California is essentially living in the Democratic Party.
But if he wakes up and decides, like, okay, you know what?
This
would be better for this and this. Like Tesla,
what they'll do is
he
they'll
deemed
just
it
leave.
Essential, and they still shut it down.
So on the one
exactly.
Hand, on the one hand, I feel what you mean. That like these tech companies might have more influence on like public opinion than the governor, which that's a pretty interesting point. That's really like that would be like the biggest way that conservatives or kind of just conservatives, libertarians, just anybody that doesn't like big government really, that'd be kind of the way that they would make inroads, is by the influence that those big names have. And people like, Joe Rogan's not conservative, but he's not an orthodox Democrat, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Now Nancy Pelosi, I'm not sure I would say she's like, pulling the puppet strings or anything. I don't know about all of that, but yeah, I do feel what you mean on like Elon.
Well, I think it's her together with a lot of people. I don't think it's like just her sitting in her living room. It's her with a lot of people. Okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's a hard call. There's so much uncertainty to it. But yeah, but I don't know. I'm really unimpressed with. But I've always said this. I really can't stand California. I just want nothing to do with it. Anyways.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And so we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm still like always going to be kind of cynical to thinking, oh, California is going to have this revolution where people finally rise up and realize how bad things have gotten, because I think there's always this disillusionment that somehow they can make these like big socialist programs work. I think it was California that was trying to like float like a Medicare for all kind of thing a couple of years ago, and they're like, it just wouldn't work, like financially, economically, it wouldn't work.
Well, there are two less things I would say with this California thing. Is one, I see what you're saying about like at what point, if you're a Californian, at what point are you like, okay, wow, this has gotten out of hand. I think Tesla's the nail in the coffin. I think that it'll be a while. It'll be a while. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not gonna be tomorrow. But I think once Tesla gets out of there and a few fiscal years go by, and they just see how bad they're tanking, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think it'll at least go purple. I don't think it's going to be, a bastion of conservatism. No, I mean, there's always going to be liberal people there. But
I mean, even if we
uh,
just get like certain counties or something where it's straight Republican in the cities, that I'd consider that being a good start on how we
yeah,
can bring back some of that better
yeah, it would be.
governmental power for the
It
state.
would be. And
Because
go ahead. Sorry.
because I mean, if you can do that, you can at least have some of these stupid laws stopped, if not new better laws in place.
And here's the last thing with what Skylar said about the Joe Rogan, like not necessarily being an orthodox Democrat. You know what? This is a little out there. I don't think Pelosi is per se an orthodox Democrat. I think that she's a powerful person. Obviously the Speaker of the House, because she's a Democrat. But I don't know if y'all noticed the tax cuts for the rich. She's not in the 3 trillion. She's not exactly uh, standing up for Democrat beliefs. It's just convenient for her to be a Democrat. But when you talk about, like, as far as a value system, I don't think she's at heart a true Democrat.
I
It's
know I
just
know a
her.
lot of my friends that are like, I don't know, college age, like leftists, they don't like her at all. But I don't know that that's really saying much. I guess she's not liberal enough for them. But I guess I see what you're saying.
I think what you're saying connects to what I'm saying, because
Yeah.
she's like, okay, you know what, right now, it's actually really smart. She's like, you know what, right now, being a Democrat has a lot of benefits to it, so I'm gonna do it. But when you put in stuff like tax cuts for the rich, she's supposed to be a passionate person against that, but she's not.
Well,
So it
she's
makes you question.
so someone like Nancy Pelosi, she's gonna be like, she's gonna keep herself in mind first before
Well,
she.
yeah, and that's
She's
what we're
gonna be
seeing.
like, yeah, she's not gonna say, you know what, no tax cuts for the rich. Like, she's gonna make sure there's a carve out for the well-connected, the
Well, and
politicians.
herself, she's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, so I'd say probably the average person, like the average Democratic voter, probably is like, doesn't want tax cuts for the rich, however they would define it. But Nancy Pelosi is like the embodiment of the establishment. I mean, she was Speaker of the House under George W. Bush, and she's still Speaker of the House now. So she's not necessarily the heart
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
Democratic
there
Party.
was like Paul Ryan, and then there was Newt Gingrich, but I mean, she ended up back.
Yeah, I'm not. She wasn't continually.
I just wish we could
She
get a
was.
non-establishment person in the speaker position. Paul Ryan is one of the last people that I can stand on this planet. Anyways,
Yeah, but no matter if it's Nancy Pelosi or Paul Ryan, at the end of the day, like they're gonna make sure that they themselves and the political class, that they're gonna be, any legislations, it's gonna benefit them.
yeah,
And then after that, it's like, okay, what do the voters want? What do my constituents want? Yeah.
cool. Well, I think we've talked about California just about enough. Unless anybody has anything else to say, I could go on and on and on and on and on about California. We'll probably do a California special some point in the future.
No, I prefer to
bring on a Californian.
I prefer to talk and think as little as possible about California.
Yeah, but
We can just erase it from the map, personally.
But now we're gonna talk about y'all's favorite social justice warrior.
Okay, so CNN has basically said that Senator Rand Paul, who, just to preface this, is an elected official for one thing, which gives him power in this country because we elect our officials. And number two, he is a doctor, which gives him authority to speak on medical issues. So CNN basically has called him ineligible to speak on this matter, but then had a 16-year-old Greta Thunberg on the panel to discuss the possibilities for the cure. What are y'all's thoughts on this?
Michael Scott's fun run race for the cure. Sorry.
I think it is a really bad move on their part. I saw where I think it was actually a CNN article. I could be wrong though. They were referring to Greta as a like children's rights activist or something. I
LOL.
just think it's stupid. Like,
I thought we were done with Greta. I thought we were done with that mind controlled by her family, mentally ill chick. And that's not a roast. She is literally mentally ill. I don't think that she should be put on national, global stage.
yeah.
You have mental issues and you haven't even been able to develop your brain yet. And of course, we're all saying that, and none of us are 25 yet. But still, I'm older, so I can talk however I want about her.
Ethan,
Anyway, but I just,
you're like 19.
yeah, Greta's like 2, so
She's 16, dude.
Yeah, she's
Wait at
16.
least until you get to 20.
they want you to think she's 16, Nate. Don't you see it? I've been trying to talk like Alex Jones today. The globalists, they want you to. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, all right. So Greta, I don't know. It's just it doesn't surprise me. It should, but it doesn't.
It honestly surprised me. Like, I thought it was bizarre because
Well,
I
did it
don't
surprise
know.
you that Greta, or did it surprise you the expert panel was put together?
It surprised me that they put her on there. I mean, I guess maybe I should lower my expectations for them, but I just
But
don't
you
understand. It has
have
nothing to do with
expectations
that.
for them?
Apparently I still did. That it just like really caught me off guard when I saw that. I don't know. It's bizarre, and I think that it's just really stupid on their part.
It's like, look, if you're not gonna put Rand Paul on, Rand Paul's one of the most, like, I'm not saying he's just a genius, but he might be. But I am saying he's in a position where it would make a lot of sense to put him on the panel. Like, it would make the most sense to have him like over just about anybody else, considering he is a senator and he's a medical doctor. Like,
Yeah, but he won't fit their agenda is the problem.
exactly.
We
But
all know that, but it has to be said.
but you would like to at least see this sort of like maybe trying to appear a little unbiased. But yeah, I mean, Rand Paul is a perfect person to put on a panel, and so
Hang on, let me just understand. I might have been spaced out when you were talking about this, so I apologize in advance. Was Rand Paul offered this and then revoked? Did he pursue it and they denied it? Were they talking about him on the air? Why is Rand Paul being thrown into this?
I think
Why are
like
what provoked us to want to know
I
why
get
he
all my
wasn't on the
information
panel?
from Twitter, and so which is a
So
very
what's the Twitterverse telling you?
basically their tweets. So someone said, like, I'm trying to find the actual tweet from CNN, but
Sure.
other people or whatever it was from CNN, but they must have said something because people were saying like, CNN says Rand Paul, an actual doctor, cannot question Dr. Fauci on coronavirus, or maybe it was something that one of their on-air people said, or something like that. And then also CNN says, promoting climate change, teen activist Greta Thunberg as an expert panelist for its next coronavirus facts and fears town hall. Anyways, so yeah, I'm still trying to find like what it was specifically, but to to say that Rand Paul shouldn't be able to question Dr. Fauci, that's what it sounds like, is they're saying, well, you can't doubt what Dr. Fauci is saying. It's like, look, no, it's true that Dr. Fauci probably like sort of specializes in it, but Dr. Fauci is not like his thing is in specifically health related without any concern for economic issues, whereas Rand Paul as a senator and as a senator you cover all public policy issues. So when you're crafting legislation, you don't just think, well, like, okay, if you locked up everyone indoors, that would be the best approach to keep coronavirus from spreading. But we don't just make legislation based on what's the best thing for one facet. When you're making legislation, you have to consider, I mean, on health issues, you have to consider, well, health is extremely important, but also the health of the economy, because people aren't just, you know, they're not just feeling the impact from coronavirus. Most people are feeling the impact because they can't go to work and they can't make any money. And so when you keep someone out that is concerned about those things, like Rand Paul is, it's hard to take that panel seriously, because there's gonna just be an agreement, nothing but agreement. So Rand Paul would have been a great addition, and without someone making the case for how we can reopen while still being careful and practicing social distancing, it's just going to be one big, like, yeah, we just need to keep it all locked
So I've
down.
got right here. I've got the video of Rand Paul. What sparked all this conversation? What you're saying is when he told Fauci, "Look, you're not the end all here."
Yeah.
That's what ignited it. So I can share my screen real quick, and we can show the viewer the audio of what we're talking about if y'all want to do that real quick.
Sure.
Sounds good.
All right, so here is the clip of what made Rand Paul get in the headlines.
The mortality between 0 and 18 in the New York.
We're not going to watch all 4 minutes.
It's not going to be absolutely zero, but it almost approaches zero. Between 18 and 45, the mortality in New York was 10 out of 100,000. So really, we do need to be thinking about that. We need to observe with an open mind what went on in Sweden, where the kids kept going to school. The mortality per capita in Sweden is actually less than France, less than Italy, less than Spain, less than Belgium, less than the Netherlands, about the same as Switzerland. But basically, I don't think there's anybody arguing that what happened in Sweden is an unacceptable result. I think people are intrigued by it, and we should be. I don't think any of us are certain when we do all these modelings. There have been more people wrong with modeling than right. We're opening up.
See, and this is very unpopular for him to be talking about this.
And I hope that people who are predicting doom and gloom and saying, "Oh, we can't do this, there's going to be a surge," will admit that they were wrong if there isn't a surge, because I think that's what's going to happen. In rural states, we never really reached any sort of pandemic levels in Kentucky.
Also, we need to mention Senator Rand Paul looking like a snack, to be honest.
How y'all feel about the beard?
Lovely.
I don't know. Who did it better, him or Ted?
I think Rand.
I hated his hair at first, but now I'm not gonna lie to you.
Are y'all really arguing this? Chip Roy clearly had the best facial hair. Are you kidding me?
I'm trying here. Let's talk about this as I try to find the clip of where he said that you are not the end all. So the thing with that is he's talking about how in Sweden they were at school and the mortality rate was still low. That doesn't fit the narrative of what they would like to happen with this COVID.
And we've even seen that in the United States. Like, there have been studies that have shown, I think maybe Georgia, there have been a bunch of states that have reopened. Some of the states that, I think it's like South Dakota, some of the states that actually never put stay-at-home orders in actually have lower rates of infection than states that have put more extreme measures in. And it kind of just shows that there's not a one size fits all thing. It's like you can go back to work and you can still have some of the economy going and opening without just everyone getting infected. It's just a oversimplified narrative to say that, well, we open things back up and coronavirus is just going to go, just infect everyone. It's not like that. Like, Texas has started reopening. Like, I went to Cracker Barrel earlier, and I will be honest, it took me so long to get a seat because Cracker Barrel is only letting like 25% capacity in.
Yeah, here at Chili's, we can only do 25%.
Yeah, I think it's like everywhere in Texas. But like there are lots of measures going through. Because it's in everybody's mind. If we never did anything, that might be a cause for concern. But look, it's not black or white, because.
So I mean, the way I see it, basically, if you have a pre-existing condition or you're in a high risk category, you should stay home. Like,
Right.
There's no debating that. Stay home, ordered grocery delivery. There's programs. They extended unemployment benefits, increased them even. You can stay home. No one is
Right.
stopping you.
So here's what made him. I mean, obviously what we showed earlier, but this is what really sparked it.
In England. So I think we ought to have a little bit of
We love
humility
dropping
in
stuff.
our belief that we know what's best for the economy. And as much as I respect you, Dr. Fauci, I don't think you're the end all. I don't think you're the one person that gets to make a decision. We can listen to your advice, but there are people on the other side saying there's not going to be a surge and that we can safely open the economy. And the facts will bear this out. But if we keep kids out of school for another year, what's going to happen is the poor and underprivileged kids who don't have a parent that's able to teach them at home are not going to learn for a full year. And I think we ought to look at the Swedish model, and we ought to look at letting our kids get back to school. I think it's a huge mistake if we don't open the schools in the fall.
Thank you.
Anyway, so
Yeah,
I mean, I'm right there with him. I love that he said that, but that's what made him controversial right now.
Yeah, and people are trying to, like, people are going to jump on their bandwagon, and they're going to say Rand Paul doesn't care about people. He just wants to, grow his 401k or whatever and sacrifice lives so that he can make money or whatever. And it's just silly because like 401ks, when they use that argument, a 401k is just basically a representation of the economy. It's like 401ks usually go up when more people are working. So like the whole point is that we want people to be able to make an income, and when that happens, that helps 401ks. But like, it's such a like silly argument to say that we're trying to sacrifice people's lives so that our 401k grows or whatever. Like, we should want people to go back to work, and we should want as many people to go back and be able to make money while keeping in consideration that there's a pandemic. Although it's not like Ebola or whatever, it's not like everyone that gets it is going to die. It's like a very small, very, very small percentage. So, and like Nate said, the people most at risk are the ones that really need to be cautious, and we need to consider them as well. So if you have like older folks that you're ever around, be careful around them. But we can't afford to just stay at home indefinitely. You just can't do that. That's not a model that's going to work. You have to get the economy going again, unless you're going to have, and there are some legislators that have proposed it, like Bernie Sanders, I think Kamala Harris. If you're going to, there's some people that have said we need to give out $1,200 checks every month for the next like few months. I'm sorry, but that's a no-go in my opinion. I don't want us to spend trillions of dollars. Like we've already like blown through. The deficit has exploded, and so I don't want to do that again. We need to open the economy and stop doing these big stimulus bills, because at the end of the day, it's the economy.
Well, the good thing is the $3 trillion Trump says is dead on arrival, so there's some hope.
Yeah, good to hear. I wish the first one would have been.
So okay, before we get on Greta Thunberg a little bit more, this is probably going to have to be another topic for another podcast. But when you talk about the economy, the stimulus, whatever, it didn't occur to me until my mom started talking to me about it, that the Fed is now under the control of the Treasury. And that is like huge that is happening right now. That means Mnuchin is like controlling the Fed. And so you have that going on. The Fed cut the rate, and then you have Trump humoring the gold standard. The dude's still got 5 years left. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with gold standard, with long list of stuff. That's another podcast.
I think we need to fact check that, because I'm not sure that I don't think that's the case.
At the beginning,
that the Fed is controlled by the U.S. Treasury.
Well, right now, Trump moved it under the authority of the Treasury.
I don't know about that.
It happened. It happened. Look it up. Here, I got you.
Yeah, you look it up.
Here, let's talk about Greta Thunberg while I find the source. So Greta Thunberg is supposed to be a climate person, yet they're pulling her out back onto the global stage.
Not only is she an expert on climate change, she's also an expert on global pandemics as well. Like, this chick is an absolute genius. Like, very
At
big.
16 years old, that's super impressive, especially since she doesn't go to high school even. I was just super impressed by that.
Yeah, for going to class like once every one day out of the semester or whatever. Like, she's been learning so much. Like, she's just a genius. Like, this is very impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see how they can't see the hypocrisy of what they're saying. It's just ridiculous that they won't have Rand on because he's unqualified somehow, but then they let a 16-year-old girl just, hey, I'm on this panel now,
I think anybody would have been better than her. It's like she kind of died off there for a few months, but I guess they just had to drag her back up and put her on something. I don't know. It's just irritating to me.
Yeah. I mean, what?
Okay, so I'm doing my, I'm looking through it here. Look, from what I forgot where I read it, but I mean it's happening. But let's just say it's not. It should be. Why do we have the Fed? This is another podcast, but it's relevant to what we're talking about with CNN, with Greta Thunberg, with the pandemic. Why do we have the Fed and the Treasury? Why? Anyways.
Well, I'm probably one of the biggest critics of the Fed.
Well, you're a critic
because
of
the
anything.
shadowy organization that gets to operate in darkness. Like, so yeah, I'm a huge critic of it, but I'm not sure about that. The Fed being run by
because I mean, look, I'm pretty sure it is, but hold on a second. It hasn't always. I'm saying like changes have been made, but if it's not, it should be. And when you talk about the gold standard, let's talk about this in another podcast. But Greta Thunberg, in my opinion, is completely irrelevant to a global pandemic. I don't understand what she brings to the table. She even tweeted, something about people have been calling me an expert on coronavirus or whatever. That's not the case. Whatever. Trying to defend herself. But, okay, well, then why are you going on CNN on the expert panel if you yourself don't refer to yourself as a expert? Why is this happening?
It's just basically her parents that. I mean, that's really who it is. It's like this 16-year-old doesn't get to decide on her own all this stuff. It's her parents and her handlers that are strolling her back out there. Like, okay, honey, get out there and go on this panel. And she's like, okay, I guess, or whatever. So but yeah, ultimately it's like the people that decide for her. She's going on this. She's showing up here. Like, they just need to. I mean, I can't really blame them for wanting her to get on a big network, but still, it's like, this is not your place. Like, you shouldn't be talking about this stuff. You're not an expert. You're not even an expert on climate change, much less this issue, which has nothing to do with climate change. So,
okay, here we go. I got it right here.
It's about as relevant as the celebrities that tweet about their opinions on politics.
All right, check it out right here. So, tweet 1 of 2. Tonight, I'll be interviewed on CNN to talk about the new campaign supporting the UNICEF during COVID-19 and about being an activist in a world altered by the coronavirus. It seems some people thought I was going to be on an expert panel, which, of course, has never been the case. And then right here, I am not an expert. I am an activist. The only people claiming that I'm an expert are those who are trying to ridicule me. My message has always been to unite behind the science and listen to the experts. Okay, but that's not what's happening. You are being considered an expert. That's why you go on a national news station like CNN. We all hate CNN, but they are who they are. And you have to have some sort of qualification to go on there. So you can talk about how you're not an expert all you want, but that's not what they're asking you on the TV. They don't want that opinion. That might be
an activist.
That's not what's going to happen.
If you're an activist, you admit you're an activist. CNN should admit that she's an activist as well, and bring an activist or something from the other side of the argument. Like, if you're gonna bring an activist and like masquerade her or whatever, like as some like unbiased, like, voice of the youth or something, maybe bring another voice that is going to make an argument against her. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I see
but
what you're saying.
obviously they're not interested in doing that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just don't think a 17-year-old should be pressured into these things, but whatever.
Yeah. Me either.
Yeah, we think a lot of things.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So I think that kind of concludes our thoughts on CNN with Greta Thunberg and the senator. So up next, we're going to be talking a little bit about Justin Amash and the Libertarian Party as a whole.
So recently, Justin Amash just ended his run for president under the Libertarian Party. I think it lasted about 3 weeks. In a tweet, he tweeted out that due to the circumstances that he was going to end his race, his run for president.
So I didn't even know he was running.
Yeah,
That's great.
I mean, I've paid attention. Like, I kind of always have one foot in
Well,
the
Skylar
doors.
does have some personal
Yeah.
viewpoints that would make him know if there was a libertarian running or not.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
always.
I did know he was running as well. It wasn't very, spoken about just because it's a third party.
Yeah, a third party is always going to have it stacked against them. Like, there probably will not be a third party candidate that is going to be extremely competitive in our lifetime just because how the system is. Ross Perot is the biggest third party candidate we've probably ever heard of. And he, only had a small impact. Rest in peace, Ross Perot. But Gary Johnson, I thought Gary Johnson was going to be well suited to try to take a swing, and that didn't happen. So if it didn't happen then, it's probably not going to happen. But it's always still just kind of interesting to see, like, if things get bad enough, are people going to be willing to vote for a third-party candidate? I think they could be. It's just this sort of self-defeating argument. It's sort of like, well, nobody's going to vote third party because they can't win. Well, but why can't they win?
I mean, the Libertarian Party has gotten the closest to winning that I think any third party has.
I think the numbers probably show that they probably get more votes than any other third party.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if in the future the Libertarian Party did win finally.
Win what though? Like president? I don't think they'll ever win that.
I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility with how polarized politics are getting. If they somehow were able to kind of get a middle ground of like, hey, what if we just don't?
No, I put it out of the realm of possibility for a presidential race. It would really kind of have to start with getting some lower offices. So I felt like Justin Amash would actually have a good opportunity to keep his congressional seat if he ran either as an independent or as under the Libertarian Party, because you're already in the office and you kind of people know his name, in his district at least. People already know his name. So if there was ever a libertarian suited to win a congressional race, it would have been him. Or maybe if he decided he wanted to run for a higher office, that probably wouldn't be a good idea, though, to challenge, anyone for a Senate. But if there was ever going to be someone, it probably would have been him. I think libertarians will have to win something before they can have any sort of chance at running for president. So if you were to get a libertarian senator, then that would be a start. It'd probably have to be like Congress, state rep. I'm not even sure if there are any state reps, people at the state level that are elected under the party. Like there's a very small handful of people, I think. But yeah, Libertarian Party's always just been kind of a dumpster fire, to be quite honest. If y'all
Wonder
may
why.
do what now?
I wonder why.
Yeah.
You
I
got
mean,
the Skylar
y'all
Walksman in charge of it.
put me in charge of
I
Libertarian
had to
Party.
do it.
I'm gonna straighten everything out. But no, seriously, y'all probably saw like 2016 where the dude got on stage and like stripped down to his underpants. Like,
Was it Vermin Supreme?
no, that's a
Aw.
different kook over there. Okay,
Come on,
there's
Nate.
people. Get it
Did I just
straight.
name a completely separate kook in the
You
Libertarian?
call yourself a conservative and you run podcasts? You don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Dunning?
Hey, there's just too many kooks in the Libertarian Party for me to know which specific ones strip down to their underwear.
Well, I'm looking up Justin Amash, and I'm only seeing him going on liberal outlets. A little confusing. What do you stand for? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I
the
mean,
thing
you
is,
can't spell libertarian without lib, so.
Hey, that's something. That's
Well-
power. I think you're speaking to somebody.
well, that's actually one of the things about his presidential run that was kind of weird. It was like before
Well,
like
maybe he's a libertarian.
before Trump was like on the map, that before he was president and everything was about Trump, like Justin Amash was basically, him and Thomas Massey were like the two members of the House that were just like kind of super libertarian and everything. Then with Trump, Justin Amash kind of takes the route of being sort of a never Trumper because he really took up the impeachment stuff. So it was he was trying to sort of dip into like the Libertarian Party, but was also trying to hang on to like the people that really don't like Trump in the Republican Party. So it was kind of a weird strategy and it was kind of untenable. You weren't going
Before we dive into that, Skylar, what are you? Your Wednesday edition, I think, is this week, right? Your
Yeah, we're gonna-
to the listener, if you want to know what goes on in my mental state of mind, my interview's up. Skylar's comes up this Wednesday, but so I guess we'll dive into this on your interview. But are you like full blown libertarian? Are you leaning libertarian? Are you like libertarian in name only? Are you not in name only? What?
Yeah.
What?
I
like a Justin Amash in your life, or
I just always describe myself as a libertarian leaning conservative because like and then I mean I'm gonna vote.
You wouldn't say you're
for-
full blown libertarian.
Yeah, I mean definitely not. I mean I vote for conservatives, but there are issues where I feel like conservatives are a little bit wrong on, like criminal justice. I think there are things like that. Foreign policy is like I'm always critical of that, but yeah, at the end of the day, like
Well, critical of that in what way?
well, so stuff like the war on terror, like the Afghanistan war, the war in Iraq, those are all things that I think we've made a lot of errors.
Well, I agree with you, and that's a pretty popular opinion. But do you,
Yeah.
like, when you say foreign policy, like, do you encourage trade and interactions with other countries, or are you like keep it all in America?
No, yeah, it's like I wouldn't consider trade to be like a foreign policy issue. My thing is
Really?
people always, well, I mean, it's not. I'd say like that's a separate. It's a distinct issue. I
Well,
wouldn't.
foreign policy is a very broad term.
Yeah, but still, I think a lot of times people talk about like war and stuff like that when we should use the military. Yeah, no. I pretty much, I feel like it's kind of what you emphasize because I think there are people that agree with. I think there are people that would call themselves a conservative first and foremost that probably agree with me on certain things like foreign policy and criminal justice issues, but they don't really, it's not like their foremost concern. Like for me, it's kind of a bigger concern. It's like if we want to actually make, if we want to like kind of change our policies from what we're doing, you have to put that on the front of the issues. Like that has to be kind of a big thing. And so for me, it's like those are kind of something I'm concerned about. So I kind of just care about those. Anyways, let's get back to Justin Amash.
Well, I was asking you that because like I think it's good to note as you're commenting on Justin Amash. Like I thought you were full on.
So I also tend to have a few libertarian leanings in politics. So there are just things that I think the government shouldn't have a say in. So I kind of think that various issues within government, like I'll say weed, for example, that's not really something that I care about.
Weed?
Yeah, like I think I think that that's something that essentially should be left up to the states or even up to the cities to deal with, because it's not really a big deal, you know. It's
And we're gonna talk about our individual values
yeah,
and
people are
energies,
gonna
but
get it anyway.
as we're commenting on Justin Amash, I think it's important to know how each one of us stands as we bring our perspective to the table. Because if you're full blown libertarian commenting on this, you're gonna be thinking completely different than the opposite. So, anyways,
I think
um,
even the people that probably maybe would, whatever that would be, would call themselves a full blown libertarian, are probably actually kind of weren't crazy about his run, because it sort of feels like a very opportunistic thing, because like I said, he sort of hopped on this never Trump bandwagon. He was trying to lump that together with like a coalition of libertarians, and it's not necessarily libertarians that are never Trump. Like they have their own criticisms of Trump, but it's not usually like the Lincoln Project type. If y'all, I don't know if y'all saw the Lincoln Project. Basically, these never Trumpers. They came out with this ad. Anyways, it's sort of he's sort of like trying. It feels like he's trying to get those people together. And look, I have my criticism of Trump, but that's not gonna be a great argument. Is like Trump is so bad, vote for me. What I want to see is what are you gonna do? Talk about what you stand for, not what Trump is so bad about. Like that's just where I come from on that. Like that's what makes me want to vote for you. Is not talking about how bad the other guy is. Talk about how good you are. That's just what I think.
yeah, I think that's another podcast because if I start talking about that, I'll go on for hours. There's something to that with what you're saying. Um, let's save that for another.
Yeah, I kind of tend to
Another
agree
day.
how you should kinda run on your own principles, not on other guys' bad, you know? Like that's
Yeah.
kind of what the race in 2016 was like, and it seems like what they're trying to do with 2020, even though it kind of seems like they failed, and now we just have. I mean,
basically every year is just mudslinging and personal attacks, and it's sort of just like that's kind of how American politics is. But it's kind of a sad state of it. But if you have candidates, really, if you you look back and you see like presidents that got elected. A lot of times it's because like they had like a great message that got across, like Reagan in 1980, or maybe not. Maybe it's not a message I agree with, like Obama, hope and change. That worked really well for him. So for a third party candidate, I mean, who knows what it would take? It would probably take a pretty significant change. Like things would probably have to be going pretty bad. Um, like there has to be something weird going on for the Libertarian Party candidate to have a good chance of getting elected.
yeah, I think in order to make that argument, especially coming from a libertarian, the other guy has to be insanely bad. Like it's not even what I would consider to be like a personal attack, but it would be kind of more what I would consider to be a like it would have to just be the guy is so terrible that policy's bad, moral character is bad, and it's just everyone can see it.
Yeah,
Like I don't know, something like, I mean, even some people would agree with redistribution of wealth, but it would have to be something where he was specifically outwardly planning on redistributing it to himself to kind of make that a good call, in my opinion.
you'd have to
Or
have
you
a whole
could,
bunch of stuff. You have to have a whole bunch of stuff going wrong. You'd have to have like economy going wrong. You'd have to have like
oh yeah,
um
you'd have to have a ton
wars,
going wrong.
wars and stuff. Well, what I'll say is that I think the Libertarian Party, or maybe not Libertarian Party, but kind of like this liberty movement would probably. I think there is sort of an opportunity for it right now. I think you can make inroads into like cities and kind of emphasize criminal justice issues, um, appeal to them, and then but also still talk about like lowering taxes and getting rid of regulation. I think there's probably an opportunity for them to kind of rise up, not necessarily the Libertarian Party, but kind of libertarian Republicans like sort of Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, and we've sort of seen a little bit of, I wouldn't necessarily call them libertarians in Texas, but like kind of people that are gonna be very conservative, at least, like Chip Roy and those people.
Yeah, I think I kind of see what you mean with that.
So we're about out of time on that, but I think we all can probably agree that Libertarian Party has been kind of a train wreck, and it's probably going to stay that way for a while. So this has been episode 7 of Saving the Republic. Thanks for tuning in.
And give us a like if you think Skylar should take over for the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
If you like this content, please like, subscribe, share it. If you hated it, like, subscribe, and share it. Thanks for tuning in.